Hi, my name is Michelle Spencer. My husband Jeff and I have been attending Kenmore Alliance for about 8 years. The foundation of this talk is Deuteronomy 31:6 and Hebrews 13:5. I will never leave you or forsake you. My story revolves around March 2nd, 2020, a day that began like any other. I woke up, coffee was brewing, and I began planning out the day. The only thing really on the docket for this day, Jeff and I were going to look at a home that was for sale. For over 4 years, Jeff and I had been looking to downsize. I was not expecting much, but figured why not look. We have a dear friend, Janet, who came over that afternoon to go through some clothes my daughters gathered. Coffee was made for her, and Jeff and I left to see the home. We drove up, we walked through the yard, we went inside, we looked at each other and nodded. We found the home. One of the names of our God is Lord of Hosts. He is Lord of the heavenly armies. He is Lord of the great multitude. There are a myriad of angels at his disposal. He is a mighty warrior. He fights fiercely for us. I read this beautiful description of him at the same time of being a warrior. He is like a conductor of a beautiful orchestra, that the entirety of creation, every molecule, every atom, moves in accordance with his purposes at his command. He sustains everything by the power of his word. Just keep this on the back burner, and I'll get back to it. Jeff and I came home and knew a lot had to fall into place if we were going to move from our home of nearly 3 decades. That evening, Jeff went to his book club, and my 2 adult children and I were playing a fun game of Settlers of Catan in the dining room when Jeff walked in. For some reason, he came home an hour and a half early that night. He went into the basement, and those that know Jeff know he is very calm and steady. But this night, he screamed, "Fire! Call 911. At that exact moment, I saw what I thought was steam, but was actually smoke billowing up from our register. My son John said, "What's that smell?" having no thought the fire was already in the walls and moving super fast. At this point, my husband was still in the basement with thick, dark smoke pouring up the stairs. We were screaming for him to come up, but he was trying to put out the fire. Our son went down the stairs, grabbed his father, and met us at the top. Our daughter grabbed our 2 dogs, and together we all ran out of the house. We found ourselves outside at 8:20 at night with no coats and only the clothes on our back. We were surrounded by 6 fire trucks, more firemen and policemen and flashing lights and beeping than I've ever seen in one place before. We were shocked seeing the smoke pouring out of the chimney and out of every window. It was odd. We were not afraid. We were just in disbelief. Our home was being destroyed, and there's nothing we could do about it. We had to wait, and we had to be still. But that night, we saw the Lord of Hosts fighting for us. The timing of the fire, it astounds us. In 20 years, Jeff has never once come home early from his book club. But that night, he did. The fire didn't happen when Janet was there alone. The fire did not happen when we were scattered throughout the house. It started when the 3 of us were together in the dining room. The fire did not happen a few hours later, in the middle of the night, when we all could have been asleep. It started when we were awake. Although the firemen were able to contain the fire, the smoke ultimately destroyed our home. I truly believe God was in control of the fire. The fire was 1 to 5 minutes away from flashpoint, which means there is so much heat, carcinogens, and smoke that the air itself ignites. But it never got to that point. He spared us. He was so very gracious to us. As the firemen were packing up, we gathered our family, our friends, and our pastors, and held hands in the driveway, strewn with glass, water, and dirt in front of our ruined home. We really needed to thank God for his protection and his overwhelming mercy to us that night. He never left us. He did not forsake us. Some may say, well, you had a fire. Why do you let it happen? We say, why not? In this life you will have tribulation. Those are his words. Bad things happen, but he's always in the midst of it. I look at some of my modern day heroes of faith. Two of them are our friends, Tim and Cheryl Chambers. They just lost their adult daughter, who died in Tim's arms. She left a 9-day-old baby girl, a 3-year-old, and her husband. This young mama loved Jesus. She was his beloved. But she's gone. And yet Tim and Cheryl, in their deep grief, have a gentleness and a peace which can only be explained by Jesus. Another couple, Karen and Mike Murray, who have endured great family struggles and huge health issues for years, cling to the fact that Jesus is a giver and the source of all their life. They do not move from his side. They are prayer warriors. They too have a joy that is only explained by Jesus. Another friend with a chronic illness has a joy in life like no other, and a love so deep for everyone. How can that be explained through anything but Jesus? He is our Lord of hosts who fights fiercely for us. He never will leave us or forsake us, no matter what we face, whether it be personal, COVID, or the elections coming up. We must hold tightly to this truth. He is always with us, our shepherd, our king. I never told you the end of our story. Only the greatest writer of all time could have authored an ending so perfect for us. We were able to buy the home, even though there were 6 other offers and ours was not the highest. We bought the home just when COVID came to Western New York. The Lord's ways are not our ways. As C.S. Lewis has written, he is not a tame lion. Sometimes his ways are terrifying, but we know we can trust his protection, even in a fire, in sickness, and even in death. He is good, always. I love you all and miss you so very, very much. Have a wonderful night.